Welcome to the internet. Thank you for tuning in to Wi-Fi. Anyways, today we're talking about multi-tenancy in Next.js, and let's get into it. So I'm just going to show you two quick examples. The first one, super simple for you simpletons out there. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. And then the next example is an implementation that'll kind of show you what you can do. Okay, I wanted to bring this up. This is an example from Vercel's website of, it's like a starter kit for doing this. I didn't actually use this, but the cool thing that they do for you is that they actually just give you a few different examples. So super.so basically takes your Notion pages and turns them into websites. It's super cool to see that, they have like their own like company website, and then they have different like user websites, so you can actually do stuff like that. And then if you look at Hashnode and all these kind of Mintlify, you can kind of see examples of what is possible. Okay, so I would check out this page. The URL is that, just so you actually know what's possible. 99% sure that whatever you're going to do is possible. So let's dive in to the code. Now, this is actually relatively simple. I'm going to start out just by showing you this function. So essentially, you can create like a TypeScript file, and you want to make sure to import headers. And then I just have a type here because I'm defining all of my potential domains, okay? Just so you see, for example, if we come back, this is the website for my agency, my development and automation agency, but I can't decide on a name. So I have a few different domains that I bought, and if you click on this, you'll see that the name at the top is different, and this part of the copy is different. And in fact, up here, if you see, I don't know, there, you see the domain is going to be changing as we move things, as we select different domains, okay? You can see that. So, these are all the domains, okay, listed out. And localhost 3000, obviously that's just for testing. And normally what this would be is like a database, okay? So you would have like a database full of different domains, or maybe just a couple domains. Maybe you would have like a JSON object like this. But yeah, essentially you would just kind of like have some way to access that domain, because we have this function called getDomain. All we're doing is we're getting a headers list. I don't even know what that does, but essentially we just get the host from it, and the host is going to be something like cloudmechanics.dev or cloudmechanics.studio. So it's everything in between. Like if we come back here, it's just this part, okay? And if we're at a subdomain, so if we go to labs, it's the whole subdomain right here, okay? So it's the whole domain. It's just the host is what they call it, all right? So basically all we do is get the host, and we try to see if we can find that. If we do find a object like this with the right host, then we just return that. And if there's no match, then I don't know. I don't even know what this does. But essentially, the important part of this is just to know that that's really how simple it is. You just pull the host out of the URL, and then you do whatever you need to do with it. So if we look at my layout.tsx file, what we're doing is we're to generate the metadata, which is like the title and description if you send it over Messenger or wherever. We're running getDomain, and then we're passing the name and then the description to generate that metadata. And then if we come to the page, we're doing the same thing, and then you can see the title at the top of the page right here. Right there is just the slug for the domain, and then same thing with the name right here. It's just showing, dude, holy shit, this is hard. It's just showing the actual thing from the object. So that's really as simple as it can be. Now I'll show you a little bit more of a complicated example. Stand by, caller. Okay, so what I'm building here is essentially super.so. It allows people to generate websites, and it does it at scale. So the code is actually hosted on my end, and then they fill in kind of the content, but they don't actually build anything. And so the way this works is we can see main. We can see it has, just two parts. So main, this is the root domain. So this is like webengine.com. And then we have also the path for the domain, okay? And this is a little bit confusing, but this is essentially how it works. So this is our middleware that we're running. So we're getting the host again, and these are the root hosts. So we have webengine.tech, or we have localhost 3000. And actually, wait. Okay, and here's how it works. If the root host, so if the host is not one of these places, then what we're going to do is we're going to pull the host out of whatever website or whatever domain that we're sitting on. And then this is the kind of fucked part, because essentially what we're doing is we're doing a rewrite on a new URL, and that new URL is going to be /subdomain and then whatever the path they're requesting is. And this is kind of fucking confusing, because essentially you're rerouting them to a path that says their subdomain in it, but it's not actually their subdomain. It's not actually in the path. It is their subdomain. So okay, so here we are on the root domain. See, localhost 3000. I've got this spun up in a dev server. And we can see there's some text here. We're on the page. And if we come back to the project, we'll go to the main website, and we'll see, in fact, this is the homepage. Okay? Now, if we were to change the path to be atomic wraps WA, this is a client of mine. If we were to make the path this, .localhost 3000, what we're doing is we're pulling this part out, and we're using this as the domain. We're saying, okay, do we have a website that we need to generate for this subdomain? So that means if this website was on atomicwrapswa.localhost 3000 or atomicwrapswa.com or anything like that, we would essentially be able to just pull this Atomic Wraps WA, the first part out, and show the website for it. So, as we can see, we are actually generating a full website. And then as you can see, basically we have the same stuff, except we're using Supabase to bring in the kind of site details. We're also using headers again, and then here's our type that we're pulling out. And here's extracting the domain. So this is slightly different because we want to just get everything before the first dot. So if it's atomicwrapswa.com, we get atomic wraps. But if it's atomicwrapswa.localhost 3000, we get, well, you get the idea. And then we're essentially just pulling in the data to render out the site from the database. That's the word. All right, and just so you can see, let's pull up this. Vibrant Mobile Detail.localhost 3000, and it's a completely different, well, it's the same website if we're honest, but the colors are different, some of the copy is different, and yeah, it's a different website. So follow for more. I guess I'll see you in the next video.